Hello, my name is J.E. Paris, second prince to the 521 Club and Dominus Master of the House of Paris. This is film number 4 in my series of instructional films on GOTWE and the 521 Club. In the last film, I answered the question of what is the GOTWE itself and what are the basic rules. So now let's move on to the next big question. In this film, I'll be answering the question of how have we within the 521 Club, and more specifically the House of Paris, changed the basic rules of the game known to most of us as the gift exchange party into what we have christened it to be the game of the white elephant. Now, I won't be going over those basic rules again in this film, but I will be talking about them as I explain how we vastly modified the game so that it is tailored to the House of Paris. First, let me explain how we came to adopt the game from the beginning, and then I can move into how we began to shape it to fit our needs. Throughout the 20th century, we celebrated Christmas just like every other American family. Each year, it was our goal to outdo every previous year in the way of decorations and good old American conspicuous consumption. And let me tell you that there is nothing better than looking out over your parlor and seeing nothing but an endless sea of gifts to dive into. But as our family grew and branched out in the way of bringing in new in-laws into the family, it became harder and harder to reach our goal of topping the previous year. Our money tree was having a hard time keeping up with the demand of its fruits. Let's take my case in point. Throughout the 1980s and early 1990s, I spent anywhere from $200 to $400 on Christmas. Now, this was before I had a wife or kids. But being footloose and fancy-free, I had a lot of flexibility. But as the family grew in size, the dollar amount I was spending on each member was getting smaller and smaller. In the meantime, inflation marches on. And so the quality of what the dollar would purchase was getting less and less each year. So in 1995, my niece Courtney made a suggestion that changed the whole course of events. She told us that she had recently attended a party where they had played a game called Chinese Christmas. She described the rules to the game to us and suggested that instead of everybody buying gifts for everyone like we've been doing for countless decades, that we go out and spend $20 and buy one gift and put it into the game. We thought it was worth a try, so in 1995 we played our first game of what would eventually be called the GOTWE, the game of the white elephant. It turned out to be a lot of fun. In fact, it was so much fun that we started planning for the next year. It occurred to me, though, that we should up the ante on the amount of the gift. You see, the way I looked at it, I had been spending well over $200 on Christmas, and I'd been buying for about 20 people. Well, if we were going to reduce the amount of gifts from 20 down to just one, then we could set the limit to, say, $50 to $100. And then I would still be cutting my costs by 50%. Plus, we would be walking away with one high-quality gift as opposed to some $20 goofy, useless gift. As usual, the liberals in the family did not like my idea, and the conservatives did. But I could see that this was going to be a point of contention in the future, but one worth pressing for. I'll come back to the gift cost in a minute. 1996 came, and again the party was a blast. By 1997, we had decided that unless something else looked better, the game would be a permanent fixture of our yearly Christmas, and the days of buying individual gifts was in the past. I began writing out the rules and slowly, over time, added and subtracted things from the game. We created a board of directors and began looking at parts of the game that could be modified and customized to our needs. We looked at the parts of the game that allowed loopholes and began to close those gaps and tighten up the game so that it would become more competitive. I mean, the true seed of capitalism is based on competition. So here is a list of the alterations to the original rules that we have created over time. In all, there are 37 alterations. Alteration number 1 in 1996 is we established a board of directors which would oversee the game and all of its operations. Alteration number 2, also in 1996, we established the naming of our game, which, as seen in the last film, has been modified many times. Alteration number 3, we created a game character selection. We established the ability to create specific jobs within our game, which would be assigned to willing players. In Alteration 4, we established a judge advocate. And the judge advocate would be familiar with the rules of the game and will stand the final authority for the enforcement of those rules. In Alteration number 5, the character of Old Billy Ned was invented. Now, the Old Billy Ned character is really a sergeant of arms, so to speak. They simply enforce the rules and make sure that everybody does what they're supposed to do. The Alteration number 6 is the character of Master of Ceremonies. That's me. And basically, my job is to keep the game going and make sure that everybody is paying attention and doing what they're supposed to do, kind of in conjunction with the Old Billy Ned character. In our Alteration number 7, we created Peppermint Girls. And Peppermint Girls are basically waitresses. The Peppermint Girls will follow the orders of the Master of Ceremonies and attend to the needs of the players, much like a waitress does, like I said. In Alteration number 8, the character of Scribe was invented. Basically, the Scribe is a secretary who attends to the recording of the play of the game. My wife usually fills that position. Sherry writes down everything from the first player to the very last player and every time a gift is stolen. That way we can look back on the records and see what was done or not done or who got what, when, where. It makes a nice little historical record. Alteration 9 is the player's rule. Simply is a rule that defines what the player is. It defines that each player must have in his possession the official ticket of the 521 White Elephant game, and the eligibility might be governed by further rules. It's a pretty simple, straightforward rule. In Alteration 10, the official date of the game simply presents that the game will be done between Christmas Day and New Year's. So pretty straightforward. It just dictates when the game will be throughout the year. In Alteration 11, the official location of the game. Now, officially, the location of the game is 521 North 12th Street, but we have never had a game there, and we haven't even owned the house since 1979, so we really just kind of put that in there for fun. So from year to year, we have the game in a different location. And over the last 19 years, it's been at many, many people's homes. In our Alteration 12, it creates the definition of a turn. This rule simply defines the span of one turn, which is from domino draw to domino draw. Alteration number 13 was amended in 2006, by the way. This is the player order rule. This establishes that the order of the players will be determined by a draw of dominoes. Each player is assigned a domino at the beginning of the game. At the end of each turn, the main player in that round will draw from the tray of dominoes, and that will select the next player, and therefore it throws a randomness into the game. Okay, Alteration number 14 is the age limit to play part, and this has been a real sticky issue throughout the years. At first, it wasn't an issue at all because we basically, in 1995, though we had a lot of people in the family, we didn't have any little kids. In fact, the youngest one was Paul, and I believe in 1995 he was 14, and he was the youngest one. We had no babies at that time in the family. And so we really didn't even think about the idea of, at what age are kids going to be allowed to play. We looked back on it and said, well, Paul played when he was 14, so we'll just let kids play when they're 14. And then it became an issue in about 2004. So the way the rule reads now is that, here's the official way the rule reads. Players must be 21 years of age on the day they receive their ticket to play. A waiver for those who are between the age of 11 and 21 and who are also those who are in the 5th grade or greater. Such waiver may be granted by the judge advocate of the game on the day of the game. The waiver may only be granted on the condition that both parents accept the rules on gifts. The underage player must also have at least one parent or guardian present during the duration of the game. Such parent or guardian does not have to be a player in the game. So basically, this, and the reason I went ahead and studied this whole rule is because it's very important. It becomes very controversial every time we play this game because inevitably now we've got all these young kids in the family and somebody wants their kid to play, and we have to make sure, you understand this is an adult game. They're going to end up with an adult gift. So do you really want your kid to play? And also, you've got to supervise and make sure that your kid is giving a gift that is acceptable by adult terms. So they can't give some toy or something. Anyway, that is that alteration number 14. Alteration number 15 is the established value of a gift. Now, this has been amended 3 different times because we've had to go up on the amount of gifts to adjust for inflation. The rule reads, basically, there is no cost requirement attached to a gift. Each gift is set at a floor limit with a retail street market value of $150. There is no ceiling limit to the retail street market value of the gift. Now, for more information on this, watch my next film on how to put your gift together, and it'll make a lot more sense on what that quote-unquote $150 gift has to be. Please watch that other film, because this is another huge rule that everybody misinterprets and misunderstands, and they get hung on the amount and then they don't look at the value. So please watch the next film on how to put your gift together. Alteration rule number 16 is the last player rule. The last player is the player who draws his domino from the brass tray. When the player in that turn takes the final gift that is on the shrine of the white elephant, then the last turn ends. For further information on this, look at alteration number 37. Alteration number 17 is the end of the game. It simply declares what it is. And it reads like this. The judge advocate shall declare the game of the white elephant ended once the double helix has finished its cycle. Now, for the double helix, you have to look at alteration number 37, which I'll be coming to that later on. Alteration number 18 is the grazing rule. A player may only inspect his choice of a gift by observation and limited handling. No consumption or molestation of that gift may occur until the game is declared ended. What happened is that we had a lot of people, gifts might have some candy or food in it, and people would take a little sample of it, and that's a no-no. Now, in every game, there's always somebody who gets a little bent out of shape. So alteration number 19 is the fair play and good attitude rule. We created this in 1999. It is required that all players must maintain a good attitude toward the back and forth gain and loss of the game. Friendly bantering, taken in good jest, is allowed, but personal serious outbursts of emotion will not be tolerated and are grounds to be expelled by the judge advocate. Alteration number 20 is simply a bathroom break. There should be a bathroom break offered at the end of each half hour. Alteration 21 is the emergency excused rule. Very short rule. It simply says that any player may request to be temporarily excused for an emergency. A proxy must be established. Of course, to counteract that is alteration number 22. Attendance is a must. This was in 2001. All players must be present during the game or be granted a proxy by either the board or before the game begins, or by the judge advocate after it officially begins. Alteration 23 is no store receipts. No gift will be given with a store receipt in it. That is rude. Alteration number 24 is the attention rule. All players must pay attention to the play of the game. We have a lot of wandering minds from time to time and little distractions.
You know what? What? I produce boys. Lots of boys.
Alteration number 25 just as simply establishes the artifacts establishment rule. We establish certain artifacts which are based in the use of our game, and they're like board game parts. Among those are a brass tray that we carry the dominoes around with, the bell we call the Bell of Helen because it belonged to Sherry's grandmother, who was named Helen, the Christmas squares, which are our dominoes, which were once owned by Uncle Milton, so they're quite old, the sacred dice of fate, basically they're just some dice that I picked up at a game shop, and the silver tray that holds them. The golden Buddha brothers statues, which I think I got back in 96 or 97. Anyway, they're Buddha statues. Somebody gave them as a Chinese gift. They thought it was funny. And then the tickets, that's a sacred item. And the shrine of the white elephant is this elephant, this really cool elephant I have that I save for GOTWE every year. And then the Archer Turkish tea set is this cool tea set that I have. And I think Aunt Louise got it back in about 1958 because I've got a picture of it from back in those days. And the 521 register, which is simply a large register we ask everybody to sign to get everybody's autograph for the year. Now, the alteration number 26 is the Domino Girl, which I previously discussed. It's basically we elect a little girl, used to be India for years and years, and they carry around a tray of dominoes for everybody to select their next domino. And it kind of created a position for my daughter who couldn't play at the time, and so she was very proud of the fact that she was the Domino Girl. Of course, that required us every Christmas to go buy a domino dress. Alteration 27 is the establishment of official tickets, and that was done in 2006. So from 2006 until now, we issue customized tickets for each game, and I go to a lot of trouble to put these things together. I mean, I probably spend 2 weeks at night, late at night, me and the computer and Photoshop, putting together these elaborate logos and putting these tickets together. A lot of them look a little bit similar because I use a lot of the similar formatting. But in the last 2 years, I've started printing them out at a professional printer place, which they even look better now than they did before. Alteration 28 is the death penalty rule. We basically did away with the death penalty. In a general game, a gift can be stolen 3 times and it's dead. We did away with that. We said no more death penalty. The gift can be stolen multiple times. I mean, it could go into infinity. But there's a rule to counteract infinity. I'll come to that in a minute. Alteration number 19 was awards dedication rule. In this rule, we establish annual awards, which are given out at the end of each game. The awards are recognized by a small trophy, which is handmade by me in my wood shop. See my film on how I make these. It's a really cool film. And the ability to wear a printed ribbon on your name tag at future games. In all, there are 8 awards. 7 of them cover categories of gifts, and the final is a grand award. Go ahead and look at my film, and you can get all the details on those awards.
Overall gift for 2012 goes to Rob.
Alteration number 30 is the ballot rule, and of course we have to, if we're going to have awards, then we have to develop a system of balloting and arrange for a fair and balanced voting process. Alteration number 31 is the adoption of the official mascot and establishment of a shrine rule. The rule reads this way. There shall be a statue of an elephant which appears to be white in color and will be henceforth the mascot, quote unquote, for the game. He shall sit upon a table or platform during the game. When he is in place, this location shall be known as the Shrine of the White Elephant. At the beginning of the game, all the gifts shall be placed near it. Alteration number 32 in 2008 is the dedicated honoree rule. We decided to dedicate each of our games from 2008 forward to one individual who would be called the honoree. So in 2008, we dedicated the game to Aunt Mary of the House of Black, who had died on December 2nd, 2008. Each honoree will appear on our custom-made ticket that we make each year. In 2009, we dedicated the game to Aunt Clara, who never married but taught school for over 40 years. And then in 2010, we dedicated the game to Aunt Catherine of the House of Weaver. In 2011, we dedicated the game to my mother, Marjorie Paris, making her, at that time, the only living person to be honored on our ticket. In 2012, we dedicated the game to Uncle Mathis, who was killed in World War II. And this year, in 2013, we dedicated this year's game to Joe Reynolds. He was my first cousin once removed. He was killed during the war, and he was a co-pilot of a B-17 bomber. Alteration 33 is the vicious Cyclone rule. This is by far the longest and most detailed of our rules. Since I don't want to make you go cross-eyed on me and contemplate suicide, I'll not bore you with all the details. This rule basically fixes the problem of having no death penalty. People always ask, what happens when there is no death penalty? How do we stop the game from just going on and on into infinity? A few times we have had situations where it looked like things were going to be spinning out of control. We call this the vicious cyclone. Alteration Rule 33 simply allows us to identify a pattern and snuff it out before it becomes too annoying. As of 2013, we have not had to pull this weapon out, but we feel a lot better having it in our arsenal of tools and rules. Alteration 34, which was omitted this year in 2013, is called the Opening and Display of Gift Rule. There's three parts to it, Part A, B, and C. Part A says that a long table will be constructed which will be congruent to the shrine. When a gift is selected from the shrine of the white elephant, it will remain where it sits. Part B says the player who designed and brought the gift will open it in full display and give a presentation of the gift and its parts. Part C says the player who chose the gift will then place his ticket in a holder next to that gift. This will signify that the gift at present is claimed by him. If another player steals that gift, the gift will remain in that place and the new owner shall replace the other player's ticket in front of that gift. All gifts shall remain in their place until the game is declared ended. At that point, the winners of the gifts may claim them and remove them from the shrine. Alteration 35 is a status recognition of players rule. The status of each player is recognized by giving each player a different color of elephant on their name tag. In all, there are 15 different ranks. The lowest color is pink and the highest rank is purple. It is a way to award the players for the number of games they participate in throughout the years. Alteration number 36 is the Lanyard rule. This alteration allows each player to have his own identification card in a hanging lanyard, which has all the awards and ribbons won in previous years. Also included on the card is the colored elephant discussed in Alteration number 35. At last, we come to the end of this alteration rules. Alteration rule number 37, the double helix rule. This is a 2013 rule. This alteration rule was developed to help end the game on a fun note. We always had a problem with the old standard rule of allowing the first player to choose any gift at the end of the game. It works for stupid office games where the gifts are junk, but for our game it gave too much advantage to the first player. So this rule simply says that once that last turn has ended, we enter what we call the double helix. It goes like this. If the first player has never had a chance to steal a gift and has been stuck with the one they drew from the shrine in the very beginning, then they have the opportunity to set that gift on the shrine and steal another one. The next player can elect to take the one off the shrine or steal from another player, and so on and so on. This will go on until somebody nabs the gift off the shrine. Then that ends the double helix. If the first player has been stolen from, or has stolen himself somehow, at any point in the game, then the game will not enter the double helix, and the game is ended right then. And that, folks, is how we play our game. Now study all those rules I just gave you, and we will have a test on it this Friday. Thank you for watching this film, and I hope you watch all the other films in this series. The next question I'll be answering in the next film will be, what should your gift be, and how much should you spend? I will take you step by step through the 3 types of gifts which are acceptable for the GOTWE. I will also give you some good and bad examples from the past games. I think you will really like the next film. I know I will. Again, thanks for checking out my films, and I will see you on the other side in the next film.
And,
Hello.
is this your first time to play?
Yes.
This is my Chinese gift.
Oh! She's Chinese!
This is going to be the whole thing after.
the Chinese thing for us, Lynn.
No.
Say, I'm Chinese. I'm good Chinese wife.
Here, I'll sing the Chinese national anthem.
Right, yes.
Chinese dirty knees.
Chinese, Japanese, dirty knees. Look at these.
Look at these.
Knees.